So if you don't know what Overwatch is, you've never really experienced what it is to truly hate a person, especially when they choose a character like Widowmaker or Hanzo, when their accuracy is that of Helen Keller with a mouse made of styrofoam, or when your entire team is comprised of DPS characters with not a single tank or healer to be seen. And as soon as you mention this to your team, you'll be told to either take up one of those rules and sign away your fun for playing the character you actually wanted to play for the rest of the game in order to win, or you'll be told to game end yourself in a fashion that makes Jeffrey Dahmer's actions look extremely normal. But heaven forbid back in the day you did not conform to the 2-2-2 meta, which is 2 DPS, 2 healers and 2 tanks. And if you didn't conform to this uniform, your IP and full name would be posted in all chat, along with the current balance of your bank account. Okay, maybe that was a bit hyperbolic, a bit over-exaggerated. That's more like League of Legends. But this was Overwatch back in the 2016 to 2019 days, and I loved it. It was something completely new and I had a producer behind it where you knew the shit was going to be crack cocaine for your brain for the next 10 years, and was manually going to inject serotonin into your very small brain. And it did do that.
Holy fuck! I'm a maniac at this game!
It was like that for years until it turned into what it is now.
Does this mean Overwatch is back?
No.
And I'm going to be taking you down memory lane and nostalgia lane till I take you round back and fill your small head with 12 gauge. Because the fall of this game is actually tragic and is one of the most cherished and played games I've ever experienced. And I played just that game for a full 2 years. I even got a PC just to play that game on PC, because I loved it that much. And it basically led me down the track of no social life and a folder on my PC just for Overwatch content, and an addiction to fat French ass. But it all started when it was announced in 2015. People were playing the latest Call of Duty, which back in those days actually was something original and good. Even though back in those days people still said it was not that original and it was the same game every year. Jesus, they would have been less original to say that now.
No, so you didn't choose you on that bait.
But it was a time where COD, Battlefield, League and Dota dominated the scene. Yes, I didn't forget Dota. We all know people will shit their pants if League is mentioned and Dota isn't. But there wasn't really much to play. And there still isn't. Come on, where are the good game developers gone? There was a new COD every year and a new Battlefield every 4, and League and Dota, yes, I still didn't forget about Dota. And World of Warcraft for anyone over their 40s. But then it happened. BlizzCon. And Blizzard had been holding the biggest shit they were about to unload into spectators' mouths. No, it wasn't sexual assault allegations or news that their work environment is even worse for females. It was a new game and a new genre that would bring back life into the gaming scene, and a whole section of Rule 34 that would rival Disney animations. This game was going to be amazing, it was going to be great, and it was going to be a Team Fortress reskin. And it was a new game that would be later copy and pasted along multiple other games, and some of those games are kind of doing better than Overwatch right now. But it was a new game, and its announcement broke people. People loved it, and it was an instant success, with a lovable and sexy man behind it. Jeff from the Overwatch team.
Welcome to another developer update. I'm Jeff.
But we'll talk more about him later. The beta launches, and people are losing their shit. They're doing lines off Widowmaker's fat ass. It has comp, and I can no-life it just like League. And Dota. I can get a rank and put it in my Discord bio like a medal on my chest so everyone knows I'm cool. Oh my god, yes! Wait, Discord wasn't that popular yet. I can put it on my TeamSpeak bio? Oh god, yes, what the fuck is a play of the game? But people loved it. But I didn't. I was just fine playing Black Ops 3 trying to do the zombies Easter eggs for hours at a time on a PS4. A PS4 I had to whack to make work sometimes. I never fixed it. I tried putting washers in every YouTube tutorial ever, but still didn't work. It kind of just blew up when I tried to launch Fallout 76 on it. But I was happy with my COD and knew nothing about Overwatch. Even after the game launched where people were tryharding and beating their meat to the game and pumping out content left and right and centre, I was happy in ignorance trying to do the Zetspa and Der Eisendrache Easter eggs over and over with friends till we just got that achievement. However, in 2016, Overwatch had somewhat just launched. Overwatch in general this time was doing great. It just launched and the cinematic masterpiece and the reviews that had licked between the crevices of their arse cheeks were shooting out almost perfect scores for this game. With new characters announced, Overwatch League was announced, which was probably a response for a number of people dropping out of school thinking they could turn pro. They probably thought their top gameplay was revolutionary. And Overwatch won Game of the Year, and would have probably won an award for their cinematics, but the amount of people splooging over the hands-on Genji cinematic. I was one of those people. I would say Yuji no Keo Kure in the hallways at school for no apparent reason. Believe me, the bullying that ensued was definitely character building. But then I saw it, and it ruined my life for the next 10 years. How long's this game been out? My life wasn't the same since. I could have actually been successful. I could have been an actual contributing person to the society. I could have a wife and kids by now. But one video ruined it for me. And that person that made that video ruined my life. And that person was KSI. But it was a video of KSI playing Overwatch in a game mode called Comp. And he was playing Genji. And it looked competitive and fun. And from that moment on, a spark of competing was ignited in me, which would lead me to becoming a crackhead that can only play competitive games from now on. And I still to this day cannot play a game unless it has a competitive aspect to it or a game mode. And you're probably wondering, that sounds very unfun and seems like you can't enjoy video games anymore. And both things are true. I can only enjoy the game if I get a little medal afterwards saying, oh wow, you've ranked up. Here's some pixels that are slightly brighter than the other ones that will illuminate on your profile. But anyway, back to the story. I got it for PlayStation the next day and I spent all my money on it, on the digital edition. You got a Soldier 76 skin, it was great. Yeah, definitely worth the £70. But it was really fun, and it amazed me at all the new game elements they've introduced that I've never seen before. Which in later years would be regurgitated all over the game industry. But if the game made you feel like for once in your pathetic existence that someone probably looked at your gameplay and said, that's actually impressive. Before slurs regarding your romantic preference proceeded to get sent in all chat, because you just spammed Junkrat's left click. And believe me, the chat filters didn't work, and there was constantly ways around it, but I guess it was funny when you put GG easy and it would auto-replace the text with something like good game, which is nice if you're new to the game and wonder why everyone is being so nice. But for the seasoned Overwatch player, it'd probably make you slam the desk and fart on it, looking at you XQC. But the game was perfect, except for one thing in the start that was abused more than fentanyl. And just to preface this, I never had a problem with this. And I think the game would have been more fun and competitive with it still in. But that's just me. The correct opinion. But it was basically, and the seasoned Overwatch players are going to see where I'm going here, it was the first problem Overwatch ever had. But I want you to imagine this. You just cleared an entire point, but then you see something like a young blonde twink start to hover close to you. Then boom. All the people you just killed are now standing in front of you, like you've just dropped the soap in prison and anal ruptures are in your horoscope today. Yes, it was the Mercy Res, which everyone hated because it was so OP, but it was so fun, and yes, you shouldn't be able to res an entire team with just pressing Q, but fuck me, that feeling of turning the tide of a whole game after hitting a nasty 5-man res, no crack cocaine or fentanyl could ever get that high. Or God forbid, you see a Mercy come into res a team, she's 1 HP, and you're Reinhardt. And you smack that bitch back into next week. But you know, people don't enjoy fun, so they complained about this, saying it wasn't good for competitive, and it kind of broke the game.
Here with another developer update to tell you about something super awesome, which is big changes coming for Mercy.
But this would give the character that is Mercy an identity crisis that would last weeks, months, years, where they don't know whether to nerf her into oblivion or just kind of leave her there. But anyway, back to Overwatch's golden days. Overwatch had constant content updates, such as events. You want your latest fix of limited time skins, which you could earn from loot boxes from leveling up or playing the mini events. The loot boxes were probably rolled more than any slot website, and began to make governments question if this is gambling and if it has a severe effect to the player base, and led to government investigation, which would later lead to terrible events. But speaking of events, we had Halloween, Christmas, summer, an anniversary event, but the Halloween one was superior of all, for no reason whatsoever. But now to the best part of Overwatch, competitive. Believe me, I love this so much I recorded a video of me actually getting into a decent rank, posted it to a group chat of friends thinking it was actually an achievement, and then got humbled when none of them gave a fuck and told me to actually get a life. Once again, the bullying was personality building. But I still have that video on my phone ever since. But comp back in the day was the shit. Yeah, Mercy had an identity crisis. There was a new meta every season you had to get used to because of the constant buffs and nerfs. Each season came every few months instead of every other weeks and actually had some weight to it, where people would actually be excited to play the new season. Whereas now it's every couple of weeks a new season is. What season are we on now? Like 36? Have we caught up to One Piece yet? But I remember the excitement for waiting for the new comp season to start, just to have my balls lathered up in Burger King grease, yeah, I didn't even deserve the good grease, and then promptly electrocuted, because I would win all my placement games and still get in a shit rank. That was basically the status of Overwatch placement matches, because you'd probably get placed around the same rank you did last season, or a rank significantly worse, which will make you uninstall the game and probably uninstall your life.
How does that work?
But Overwatch was in a good state, and every season would have a new meta, like when 222 went into the World of War Tanks era.
2 whole days without nonsense. 'Twere a good run, Mr. Squidward.
A new character would get released, which people would insta-lock as soon as they were able to play it in comp. Jeff from the Overwatch team with his sexy ass voice greeted every update, which could be news that we just got diagnosed with a terminal illness. In other words, the character you main probably got nerfed. But you couldn't be mad at him, everybody loved Jeff.
2 to the 1, from the 1 to the 3. What's up? This is Jeff from the Overwatch team, making changes that you wouldn't believe gonna take you out with a long-range beam.
Especially in his Christmas shenanigans. He was quite literally the face of Overwatch. But this bliss went on for years, and all 4 nations lived in peace. But then it happened. One addition to the game, which forever changed the landscape, and theoretically started the decline of Overwatch. Now you can start placing your bets for what I'm about to start talking about, but I guarantee a majority of the hardcore Overwatch fans already know what I'm about to start talking about, because they probably cried about it on Reddit at some point, or are even so desperate to do it on the battle.net forum.
Fucking get a life, you fat fuck!
And I guarantee as soon as I mention this character's name, the butt plug they have stored in their ass is about to shoot out at Mach 1, and the PTSD is probably on the same level as any Vietnam veteran, or so they think. It's probably on the same as your Discord kitten turning out to be a guy. Yeah, that $500 you sent wasn't supporting your little Discord kitten, it was actually supporting someone's drug addiction probably.
Yeah, what is it?
We're breaking up. I found a real woman.
Wait, what?
Are your ass cheeks ready? Is your heart ready to drop as soon as I mention her name? It was Brigitte, and she was released back in March of 2018. She would not only break the game and make it barely enjoyable, but also stimulate the Rule 34 community. So not only were you crying about the game being broken, you were probably crying about a sprain to your wrist and carpet burn. But if your team didn't have a Brigitte on it, you were certain to lose. And people got so upset about this, they started sending death threats to Brigitte's voice actor, which makes no sense. She did not code the game, she had no choice in the game whatsoever. It's not her fault the character was broken. The main reason this character was broken was because there was a support hero with the power of a double-barrel shotgun. A single shield bash would instantly knock out the chromosomes of someone like Tracer, but then again, the person playing Tracer probably didn't need those chromosomes anyway. But you were certain to die as soon as her shield touched you, as the stun lasted longer than all 3 of the Lord of the Rings movies with director dialogue. And even when hacked by Sombra, which is meant to limit your abilities, she could still heal everyone around her. This character was blamed for the downfall of Overwatch, and it was around this time that most people quit the game anyway. Fortnite was on the rise and Apex was soon to come out, and they just couldn't fix Brigitte. And in early 2019, something called the GOAT meta came out, which was 3 tanks, 3 healers, which made the game even more boring. Not only that, the events which I mentioned and praised earlier were not changing up at all. It was a copy and paste each year with just a tiny difference. But in my opinion, the final nail in the coffin was roll queue, which was their solution to the GOAT meta. So not only now could you choose to be 3 healers, 3 tanks, or 5 DPS, 1 healer, you were now stuck to play the 2-2-2 meta.
Here I come. How in the Overwatch 2 beta is there still a 10-minute queue time where I need a priority pass?
And in my opinion, this just stripped the freedom of everything. If your DPS was being dog shit that day, you couldn't switch from a healer to a DPS anymore. And even if you did want to have fun in the game mode that is comp, which is a probably insane concept, like going entire DPS, you couldn't. You can only choose from the hero pool that you chose to play as. Many people thought this was a good addition to the game. In my opinion, it was the worst. There really was no imagination or flexibility in the team anymore. And let alone the role queue system was terrible because you had to wait about an hour just to get DPS role. And each role had their own rank now. And I personally just like having an overall rank, not 3 different ranks, so I have to play, 30 placement matches? I could be a diamond tank and a bronze healer, or even wood-ranked DPS. So yeah, as soon as Apex and Fortnite picked up, a lot of people jumped ship pretty quick. With Apex you had something new and they were bringing out new events and skins constantly, even though they eventually fell into the same pit of being stagnant and barely releasing updates. And I'm sure the audio still hasn't been fixed.
Cause you're gonna suck this cock! You're gonna suck this cock good! You're gonna suck this cock clean!
But overall, 2018 to 2019 was terrible for Overwatch. But then, in late 2019, they had a surprise bukkake for us all. A trailer announcing Overwatch 2. Now this didn't even come out of left field. This came out of the jungles of Nigeria. Because nobody saw it coming, and the trailer was actually really good. Especially when Winston was about to solo everyone, but then Genji comes in with every weeb probably screaming from the sidelines, and probably gave us more goosebumps than the first time you discovered edging.
I'm about to come.
And Overwatch 2 was announced with a campaign with skills and abilities you could level up, and a change to all characters with updated skins and changes to the maps. And for the second time in Overwatch's lifespan, everyone lost their shit again. But then it was announced it was on the same levels as a DLC. It had the same maps, just with a few more, and it was announced that you could play with people from Overwatch 1. But people were somewhat still hyped, because Overwatch 1 was basically being neglected with barely any new updates. And this time period was known to most Overwatch players as when the game had no new content. But leading on to the run-up to the game, people got more and more disappointed. The game release was pushed back and the game was announced to be free to play. But it got even worse. Most of the stuff they announced was scrapped. And now it was 5v5 instead of 6v6, meaning if your tank is absolutely brain dead, you don't have another tank to pick up the slack. And the worst thing of all, the absolute worst thing that happened, probably worse than realising you're browsing Rule 34 and you can't hear the audio for some reason on your phone. So you turn up the volume to max and then you start hearing Kiriko getting blasted from downstairs. So what was this atrocious situation? Well, back in 2021, before the release of the game, Jeff Kaplan left the company, and he didn't even do a proper goodbye. There was no last "this is Jeff from the Overwatch team," he just left. And this is on the same level as losing Henry Cavill on The Witcher. Things just wouldn't be the same, and this is before the game even launched. And the announcements just got worse and worse. Loot boxes were said to be removed and replaced with a battle pass. You know that thing Fortnite did back in the day and it's just reaped cancer all over every game possible? At least Lethal Company doesn't have a battle pass yet. It's probably why he's outselling Call of Duty. And with the discovery that most Overwatch 1 characters would be locked behind a paywall or a progression wall, unless you played Overwatch 1 then you got all the base characters for free. And with the removal of loot boxes, if you were one of those people that hoarded like 5,000 loot boxes from each different event, the next time you logged in, they would just open them for you.
They opened my boxes!
So if you hoarded all your loot boxes since 2016, in the blink of an eye, they were just gone. And even if you did get duplicates, you would be given a currency that is basically useless on Overwatch now. The only currency they did favour is the Battle Pass and your cold, hard-earned money. Things were just not looking so bright for the lead up to this game. But in October of 2022, the game finally launched. And it had that hype that the finals is facing right now, where people love the game for a month to 2 months, and then things drop off the face of the earth when people stop playing it.
This game looks nuts.
Is better, it runs better, it looks better.
A lot of streamers came to Overwatch 2 for about the first week and then went back to GTRP or any other game.
I am a police officer.
What
sir,
the
a
fuck?
uniformed
You're a cop?
patrolman, yes.
Yo, fuck this!
The only people that actually stayed consistent with the game were people that have been playing since 2016 and basically have Stockholm Syndrome, or the people that have just discovered what Overwatch is, now it's free to play. It was basically the same game with a couple of things added and a bunch of lies fed to us that were never going to be true. But where is Overwatch 2 now? Well, over a year after launch, and it's clear to say no one really enjoys the game, unless they've got a pistol loaded in 9mm put against their head. But then again, I'm worried 9mm won't even be enough to pierce their head, because their skull must be pretty thick to even be blackmailed to play this game. And I'm pretty sure the VR chat community has more pride in their game than the Overwatch community, and most of them haven't seen the sunlight in years.
Fucking ready!
I'm so ready.
You dirty bitch.
I'm ready.
But I guess Overwatch has released a few more heroes, but the only way you're unlocking that is getting max tier on the battle pass, and a DLC that may as well be the combination of all their previous events, with some cutscenes slapped on there to give you the illusion you're not being rimmed up the arse. Because it cost you about £10 to get this DLC, and it was mostly the same gameplay over and over again, and it's made me start to respect people who play Sims and pay an extortionate amount just for expansion packs, when we all know the majority of their gameplay is going to be trying to recreate an identical copy of their family, but this time it's functioning and daddy didn't leave. I suppose there is an appropriate correlation between why players mostly drink when they play this game. But for some reason, after being out for almost a decade now, they finally pushed to release on Steam, which I don't know why they would do. On the Battle.net launcher, you can't see the reviews for the game, but on the Steam launcher, you can basically see that people detest the game and have review bombed it worse than Nagasaki. The only reason I can think of them doing this, they tried to reach out to more audiences, because the game is almost dead and buried. But hey, they released a One Punch Man event, that was cool. How much did it cost? And the only effort being put into the game is not even put directly into the game, it's more put on Rule 34. Like seriously, Disney needs to be stealing these people with how detailed they can animate D.Va getting her insides being reformed and reshaped like it's a fucking Sims house builder. Yes, it's to the point where the Rule 34 is the only thing keeping this game relevant. But genuinely, it is very sad to see a game I once loved and cherished being neglected and just being shielded to get more money for the company that is going downhill, because I put so many hours into this game and lived a lot of good memories in it, like the first time a woman spoke to me in game and I immediately muted my mic, because women are scary. But in general, I really did love this game, and playing competitive, even when we were losing the game, I'd still be excited to play the next match. But the spark for Overwatch just isn't there anymore, and the company has just neglected it to the point where the only way you're gonna have fun is if you spend money on it, or just play the community-made games, or even better yet, the money you were gonna spend on Overwatch, just bang it into a slot machine. You'll probably have more fun for about 10 more minutes. But there is an update coming to Overwatch in February that is said to make competitive more fun, and doing research for those videos put me back in the YouTube pool of recommending me Overwatch videos from 6 years ago. And even though it's going to be cock and ball torture, I thought, why not give it one more chance? And when I release this video, the next day I'm going to start streaming it, just trying to get in a decent rank on competitive, around 10 o'clock most days GMT, but we all know how consistent I am with streaming. But I guess it'll just be fun to see me paint my walls from white to red, with how god-awful the game is to play. But I love this game, and I kinda want to relive some of the nostalgia. But yeah, that's Overwatch, and it's deaf, oversimplified, but if you want the best Overwatch Rule 34 to watch, I recommend the one where D.Va takes the entirety of Lijiang Tower up her small, robust